Can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry for the delay. A lot of interruptions. My mother leaves early morning to the temple, and I have to help her out. And was not able to prepare perfectly the previous page. Starting soon. Oh, why is this? Okay. अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः परमगुरुभ्यो नमः सर्वगुरुभ्यो नमः श्री कृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः श्री लक्ष्मी नृसिंह परब्रह्मणे नमः श्री लक्ष्मी हायवदन परब्रह्मणे नमः सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. I'll share the my lecture 22. I guess you can see my slideshow. Okay, everything good so far. Good. You can see everything?
Yeah, we can.
Very good. So what we're going to do is, first of all, someone asked the questions. Why two bhāṣyas? For Kena Upaniṣad, Śaṅkarācārya has written two bhāṣyas. Padabhāṣya, Ślokabhāṣya. So why two bhāṣyas? So there's some information you need to understand regarding this. So I thought I would do some more checking. What the Tikakara for the Bhāṣya, I think by the name Anandagiri, there is a person who wrote Tika for this Śaṅkara Bhāṣya, and his name is Anandagiri. But there are several Anandagiris, and there is one famous Anandagiri. That famous Anandagiri is not accepted to be the same person as the Anandagiri who wrote the Tika for Śaṅkara Bhāṣya, Kena Upaniṣad, and Vākyabhāṣya. What this Tikakara says is the purpose why Śaṅkarācārya wrote this was he was not happy that the Brahma Sutra related logical derivations of meanings were not included in the Padabhāṣya. Well, somehow doesn't look extremely convincing to me so far. I studied till most of it, almost coming to the end, but still, I'm not very convinced. Today, I wanted to finish this whole Śaṅkara Bhāṣya for Vākyabhāṣya comparison and all those things, but I don't think I will be able to finish it. Let's see how long we can, how much we can cover today. So there is a question. History is very, very sketchy when it comes to the entire India. And when it comes to Śaṅkarācārya's life, it is even more sketchy than other historical figures. These two bhāṣyas have a number of differences. For example, in the Ślokabhāṣya, that is the second one, there are ideas which challenge the very well understood view that the first two sections of Kena Upaniṣad is for the Nirupadika Brahma. Śaṅkarācārya's Padabhāṣya is very clear on that the first two sections of Kena Upaniṣad is for the Nirupadika Brahma. And the second two sections are for people who cannot understand Nirupadika Brahma properly. Nirupadika means Upadhi is adjunct. You know what Upadhi is. We have mentioned it many times. He says, oh, look at the moon. There's actually, they look at the branch over there, that branch. The moon is behind that branch. So you're explaining the branch, not the moon. So moon cannot be directly directly explained because moon is not visible in that particular case. Here, Brahman is not visible. Nirupadika Brahman is not visible. So you're explaining the Upadhis to understand what Brahman is. So in the first two sections, a lot of explanations are given with respect to Indriyas, Manas, and all, where that's the only thing you can understand. External objects and external things are the ones you can understand, not the Brahman which is referred to inside. So he is known as the Nirupadika Brahman. Those who cannot understand Nirupadika Brahman need something more concrete. So Sopadhika Brahman is explained in the sections 3 and 4 of the Kena Upaniṣad. And sadhana methods, how to attain Brahman methods are also given for Brahma Jnana. This seems to be the way of Śaṅkarācārya. But the Shloka Bhāṣya does not give this clear-cut separation. It gives some other theories as the purpose of the first two sections and the last two sections. So here, this is a subject of controversy a little bit, and also I'm sure Advaita scholars have different ways to think about this. I can only do some superficial research at this point. There are other differences also, right? So what exactly is the purpose of sections 3 and 4? That is also a point of research for many Advaitins. And I did not go into all the details because that is itself is a huge PhD research kind of a topic. There are differences in terms, understandings of the terms Atimuchya, Pratibodha Viditam. These are understood very differently in these two bhāṣyas. And Sanskrit itself looks very uniquely different. Then why should, a question comes up, why should anybody accept that these two bhāṣyas were written by Śaṅkarācārya, the same Adi Śaṅkarācārya? Why should we accept? This question always pops up. For that, Swami Sachidanandendra Saraswati picks up a reference from, he says there is a book in some Kerala or something written by a person called Nārāyaṇa Paṇḍita. It says Nārāyaṇa Virachita Kena Upaniṣad Deepika. This is indicated, and he has clearly mentioned in that look, I am going to give you some solutions or some solutions to the the issue here, the problem. The problem is the Padabhāṣya and Shloka Vākyabhāṣya. Oh, it's actually Vākyabhāṣya. I'll say I'm saying Shloka Bhāṣya for some reason. I think it's Vākyabhāṣya. Extremely sorry. The second one I am mentioning as Shloka Bhāṣya, it's actually Vākyabhāṣya. Padabhāṣya, Vākyabhāṣyas. There is a difference in opinion about how to understand these two bhāṣyas. Hence, I'm going to give you a solution. So the very fact that Padavakya, he uses the both terms Padavakya next to, juxtaposed next to each other, it shows that Nārāyaṇa Paṇḍita really believed that Śaṅkarācārya himself wrote two bhāṣyas. So because of this age-old book which was written a while ago, and it was probably Nārāyaṇa Paṇḍita lived in the times of Śaṅkarānanda, whom I don't know. Some Advaita scholar called Śaṅkarānanda, who may be well known to other people. I don't know much about the Śaṅkarānanda. So bottom line is these are research topics, not really our focus for this class right now. But I would like to, just to mention, I would like to just mention a couple of conversations I had with a friend of mine who is a historian and who does a lot of research on history. His name is Raj Vedam. He has brought out a number of YouTube videos on history of Śaṅkarācārya, history of India, history of the Vedic civilization, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and all these things. He's done a lot of work, including astronomy, astronomical proof of Mahabharata, war, all these historical subjects. He has done a lot of work. He and I are friends. So I asked him if you can help me out regarding Śaṅkarācārya's date. When did Śaṅkarācārya really live? When did he live? And why is that Kanchi Paramacharya's lineage think that he lived thousands of years before the modern accepted date of 7th century or something? So why is that? Then we were discussing, and he says, it depends on the perspective. You cannot really decide very easily based on what we know about history, because our history itself is very sketchy. Then I asked him, I had remembered my teacher, KSV had written 15 or 16 pages in his Satyasiddhi, the second book, which is unpublished, and also about 5-7 pages or something in the Satyanveshana in the beginning of the Sarvankasha regarding the date of Śaṅkarācārya. And Rajvedam was asking, what are the criteria KSV uses? I told him very clearly, KSV is not a historian. Then Rajvedam asked me, how does he decide the dates of Śaṅkarācārya if he is not a historian? I told him, KSV only uses textual knowledge. That means the content of Śaṅkarācārya's literature, that is the entire Bhāṣyas and all his works, he uses that as a reference. And he uses some reference like, Dramida Shishu was mentioned in one of his shlokas, Devi shloka or something. Dramida Shishu is accepted to be Triññāna Sambandha. Well, people don't believe that also because Dramida Shishu, they say somebody else. Maybe it himself is Dramida Shishu. He was very young and he was so young, and within 32 years, he finished all the work, and then he went to Kailasa and got moksha or something like that. So, Dramida Shishu theory is what KSV mentions in one place. And other thing is fully about text. There are so many philosophical texts, right? Philosophical text means, Harsha wrote Khandana Kadya and all those things. There are so many Advaita texts, Advaita Siddhi, or even earlier texts on Advaita, and also references in the Brahma Sutras about Kasa Krishna, Auduromi, and all these acharyas who are supposed to be pre-Śaṅkara Advaitins in a way. And also Yadav Prakasha, Bhaskara, all the textbooks, if you look at, and then make some sense out of, this Śaṅkarācārya refers to this idea here. Śaṅkarācārya refers to this idea as Purva Paksha. So those people should be prior to him or about the same age as Śaṅkarācārya. So there are a lot of text-based analysis one can do. And this is what apparently Sri KSV has done. That's what I mentioned to Rajvedam. Rajvedam says that seems to be a very interesting view, because if history cannot decide this, you may have to go beyond and look at text-based proofs. That seems to be very interesting methodology. That's what he said. So nothing can, even now, we are 100% sure. If you ask 10 Advaitins, strongly 5 of them probably will believe the Sringeri Matha or Dwarka Matha or somebody who has got modern dates for Śaṅkarācārya. They believe in that date. And if you ask somebody from Kanchikama Kotipitam or even probably some other Matha of Śaṅkarācārya, they probably believe that Śaṅkarācārya lived more than 2,000 years ago, probably even earlier than Buddha, something like that, they will say. So these are research topics, cannot be decided. Even the textual analysis could be approximate. We cannot decide. When we cannot even decide the date of Śaṅkarācārya, what to talk about one of his works, which is Kena Upaniṣad Bhāṣya, and 2 Bhāṣyas on it. It's very difficult to understand. I am almost sure even the best of the Advaita Pandits do not have a convincing answer yet, or they may be personally convinced for some reason. I'm not sure. With this, we will go into the topics or continue with the specific, specific aspects of Vākyabhāṣya. I have done a lot of mistakes in my prior lectures. Please note that it is Vākyabhāṣya and not Shlokabhāṣya.
Swami, just one question, not a very significant one. Do Advaitins use the terms Sopadika and Nirupadika?
Yes.
Is that a common? Okay.
Yeah. That is a common term. It's a common term. And okay. Now, in the section 3, Brahma Devebhyo Vijigye. This is what the beginning of the second section of Kena Upaniṣad. The first 2 sections I did not go into details how the Vākyabhāṣya differs that much. I only gave some concepts here and there. And obviously, the reason is it's very hard to go through that kind of research. And now we are going to mainly focus, today's class will be, interestingly, Śaṅkarācārya justifies the position of Īśvara in Advaita. And he defines the position of Īśvara in Advaita. This definition and description is very unique in the sense that I've been studying Śaṅkarācārya for at least 40 plus years. And I have never come across this kind of description of Śaṅkarācārya. This also adds to the confusion that did Śaṅkarācārya really write the second Vākyabhāṣya, or some of his students or later person who wrote it? We don't know. But I'm just going to tell you how he describes. Let's go line by line for some, at least this section to some level. That way we know what the author's thoughts are. In the third section, that's where the Yaksha appears, right? This is the story. That is the episode of Yaksha coming up. And then the other, the Agni and Varuna, Agni and not the other person, Vayu, could not find out who this Yaksha was. They could not even blow away the, Vayu could not blow away the piece of grass Yaksha put in front. Similarly, Agni could not burn the grass. And they went back and said, oh, Indra, go find out. Indra came here and the Yaksha disappeared, and Uma came, and Uma started telling him the meaning and the nature of Brahman and other things. That's what is the story, right? So we'll see how this particular bhāṣya understands the story. Very different in a way, right? The meaning of the first sentence is Brahman won a victory for the gods. The gods means here Devatas, like Indra. In that victory of Brahman, the Devatas became elated. Actually, the victory and the power and the energy and capability, everything belonged to Brahman. But Devatas thought that, oh, the victory is because of themselves. The verse 2, they thought the victory is ours alone. This greatness belongs to us alone. Brahman immediately understood their vanity. These people are insincere. They don't understand the inner power which is driving them. So he appeared in front of them, but they did not know what this mysterious being was. So this is the meaning of this next sentence. This is according to Vākyabhāṣya. Who is this Īśvara? How do we know more about this Īśvara? We know very well that the first two sections clearly mention that Brahman cannot be an object of cognition. So here, Īśvara is an object of cognition to these Devatas. At least to these Devatas he appeared. So here, let me, instead of giving you a summary, I'll go to the actual, wait a minute. Just a second. Oh yeah, I understand where this goes. Okay. So here, the question, who is this Īśvara? See the effects here. So much variety is there. Devatas are there, human beings are there, so many different animals are there, millions of species are there. So why don't we say karmas have their own effect? These worms did bad karmas because they became worms. We did better karmas, we became human beings. Even among us, some people are happy, some people are not so happy. All this diversity is there. Look at the mystery of the cosmos, the huge universe, stars, moon, and everything. The regularity of this universe and time and everything tells us there is a creator who is a sarvajna. And see how each person's karma does not mix up with the another person's karma. Even though they are in the same family, they experience different kinds of pleasures and pain. And obviously, an Īśvara should be there inside every one of us. And that Īśvara is balancing based on karma, how to reward the right person and punish the wrong person. Right? So based on all these arguments, Śaṅkarācārya here in the Vākyabhāṣya, he decided that there has to be a Īśvara who is Sarvajñā. And okay, then comes the question. Why here is the Purva Paksha of Mīmāṃsakas. Mīmāṃsakas thinks that you don't need an Īśvara at all. They don't accept a Īśvara. He says actions themselves will give you effects. So somebody does Swarga Kamo Yajeta, he does the yaga. Because of the yaga will produce effects. And because yaga is finished, they assume another concept called, does anybody know another concept? Because yaga is temporary.
Apūrva.
Apūrva. Concept of apūrva, that is correct. So there is, the yaga will create something called apūrva, and apūrva will produce results in the future, because yaga is over now, right? Once somebody does Swarga Kamo Yajeta, that yaga is finished over 10 days or 100 days or whatever. After the yaga, somebody lives for so long, then after the death, this person has to go to heaven, Indraloka. For that, how does it work? There is an apūrva, the yaga will create an apūrva, and that apūrva will take him to heaven. That is how the Mīmāṃsakas explain. But here, Śaṅkarācārya says, no way. Like there cannot be such an apūrva at all. Apūrva is a flawed concept. And karma is inanimate and cannot give you permanent, any kind of benefits. And first of all, karma itself is inanimate. You need a sentient person who can do the karma. Right? So then the Purva Paksha says, oh no, why can't we say pañcabhūtas can create this universe? Pañcabhūtas are Agni, Vayu, what is that? Pañcabhūta is, I'm forgetting. Prithvi, Appa, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha. These are pañcabhūtas, right? Prithvi, matter, earth, up, water, Tejas, energy, Vayu, wind, Akasha, space. These are enough to create this universe. Everybody look at almost like a scientific view, right? Scientific views, all this existed. Long time back, there was rain and there was heat and whatever it is. Earth separated from the sun and it cooled down, and then water came in, and all this algae or bacteria, all this started growing in the oceans and things like that. And slowly evolution happened, and human beings came from prior kind of beings, like monkeys or chimpanzees or some other beings, right? So this is almost like a scientific view, and the Purva Paksha says, why can't we believe in it? No, Śaṅkarācārya says you still need an agent, and that agent, because this universe is so big and stuff, you need a mighty, powerful, all knowledgeable, all-knowing Īśvara as the creator. Then the Purva Paksha asks, winds do, even inanimate things can do a lot of work. For example, winds cause havoc. Winds blow away things. So why can't inanimate things be agents? Then Śaṅkarācārya says, no, wind is also, even though it will not move by itself, it moves because of some other third party, other reasons, like earth rotating or some other heat or some other elements are making them, some other agents are making the winds move. Winds are not winds are animate, and if there are no agents, if you put wind inside a bottle and cover it, close it up, the wind doesn't move inside; it just stays. So wind cannot move by itself. Somebody has to move the wind. So this is another dialogue. He says this kind of logic is not available in other works of Śaṅkarācārya. So this is known as Īśvara Siddhi. Īśvara Siddhi means Śaṅkarācārya is establishing the concept of Īśvara here, and his concept of Īśvara, what he thinks is the nature of Īśvara. Okay. Then he says, we have already finished this concept here. Whatever I'm talking about in this slide, we have finished. So Śaṅkarācārya decides there has to be an Īśvara. Shrutis have hundreds of references to Īśvara. So let's see what these references are. He says, "Na lipyate loka dukkhena bhāṣyah." So, if we do some work, we get tainted by our work. That means, somebody, somebody based on our trade. Somebody is a blacksmith, or he works on iron and things like that. He will have a different way of thinking. Somebody is a driver, an auto rickshaw driver, or some other driver. He will have a different way of thinking. But we get tainted by all the work we do. Ajnana and everything taints us. He is nalipyate. Nothing taints Īśvara. Lokadukkhena bhāṣyah. He is away from all the sorrows of this universe. Jaram mrityu matyeti. He is beyond old age and mortality. He never dies and he never gets old. He is always energetic, ever active. Vijaro vimrityuhu. He says, the same thing is said in a different Upanishad, Chandogya. And Satyakama Satyasankalpaham. Whatever he thinks, he can achieve. All his desires are true. His will is true. Isha Sarveshwaraha. He is Lord of everyone. This is Brihadaranyaka. Punya karma karayat, punyam karma karayati. So the thing is, he makes others do good things based on certain conditions. Anashnan nanyo abhijakashiti. Mundaka says, that is the famous analogy of the two birds on the tree of matter. Tree is the Prakriti, and two birds, one is Īśvara and the other is Jīva. And Jīva eats the fruits of this tree, which are good and bad, and he gets into trouble. But the Īśvara just watches and does not experience the pleasure and pain of the karma fruits here in this universe. Etasya va akṣarasya prashasane gargi surya chandramaso vidhrito tishrataha. The other Brihadaranyaka famous passage in Yajnavalkya and Maitreya conversation. And he says, this akshara, this imperishable, this is the one imperishable one which is ruling the world. Because of the rule of this imperishable, the sun, moon, and everything are set in motion in separate orbits. Tasmat siddha sarvajna Īśvaraha sarvajantu. Here we will go into some sentences of Śaṅkarācārya in the Vākyabhāṣya. It's important to look at his idea of logic, right? Tasmat siddha sarvajna Īśvaraha. So now we have determined that there has to be an all-knowing Īśvara. Sarvajantu buddhi karma phala vibhaga sakshi. He can separate out the karmas of every being, whether it is a worm or a human being. Yes, yat sakshat aparokshat. Only some people can realize directly this Brahman. Ya atma sarvantaraha. He is inside everyone. Sayeva chatratma jantunam. So he is the one who is the real Atma of all of us. Oh, so this Īśvara is the Atma of all of us. Na anyato asti drashta, shrota, manta, vijnata. There is no other seer, there is no other hearer, there is no other knower, there is no other thinker. Nanyat atosti vijnatru. That means there is no knower other than this Īśvara. Then comes the question, if so, why don't you accept two types of agents, two types of sentient entities? One is Īśvara, the other set is Jīvas. Right? And the Jīvas are imperfect. Īśvara is perfect. Jīvas are upasakas, they meditate on Īśvara, and Īśvara is upasya. Jīvas are impure, ashuddha. Īśvara is shuddha, pure. So why don't we accept two separate types of sentient entities which are sort of eternal? Īśvara is eternal, Jīva should be eternal, so why don't we accept these two categories? For that, Śaṅkara And here Purva Paksha is explained even more further. Look, Īśvara is like the sun. Īśvara's jnana is like powerful sun. Jiva's jnana is like the firefly. It just lights up a little bit and then stops. And in the nights you can see the firefly, just small amount of light it can give. They're very small. They're limited. So there is differences in capability between Īśvara and the others, Jivas. And Īśvara is Nitya Mukta, is always eternal. The Jivas are Anitya in the sense that they come and go, they come and go. In the sense that they could, you can as well say there is a Jiva which can go from one body to the other. This is acceptable to Śaṅkara, by the way, Śaṅkarācārya. In Gita Bhāṣya, he clearly says there is something which goes from one body to the other. Okay, but that something is not real. That is his idea. But let's understand how he takes it. So Jivas are Anitya in the sense they are changing. They are subject to Sukha Dukkha, though they always experience pleasure and pain in different bodies. So they are bound in the samsara chakra with karma, ajnana, doing wrong things and getting into trouble, getting into different bodies. These two are so different, like a horse and a bison. He gives this weird analogy of differences between horse and a bison. Both are animals, but they are very different, right? Something like that. Śaṅkarācārya then answers, Kasmat, he says, look, Īśvara, this Purva Paksha says, why can't there be two classes? Of Jivas are separate class, Īśvara is separate class. Śaṅkarācārya says, no, that is not acceptable. Why? Look at this. Kasmat anyosau anyoham asmiti nasaveda ye te kshayaloka bhavanti mrityosya mrityumapnoti. There are so many Vedic sentences which shun the idea of plurality. See here, just for you to know, you can also do this very easily. What I did, I think Srini Swami is not here, who is doing work with to create my presentations. This is a wonderful tool. I'm using Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E, or you can use ai.studio.google. If I put one text in it, a copy from the, say the text is, Śaṅkarācārya is available on advaitasharata.net. So you go copy the text of Śaṅkarācārya's Bhāṣya and you can feed it into these AI tools. It will immediately spit out the translation. And if you can give other, inputs, like please make sure this is coherent and it has high fidelity to the Advaita views. Something like that. You have to give extra instructions and it will translate in English very nicely. And this is the output I have. Kasmat means why. Anyosau anyoham asmiti nasaveda. One who thinks the upasya vastu or the deity I am worshipping is different from me. Such a person does not know. So while doing meditation, worship of a deity, a person should think that the deity and himself or herself is one and the same. Te akshaya loka bhavanti. They will go into perishable worlds who think that Īśvara is different or Jivas are different, all of us are different. If they think like that, they will attain perishable worlds. Mrityosya mrityumapnoti ya iha naneva pashyati. That is Kena Upaniṣad. This person goes from death to death if he sees, if he realizes that there is multiplicity or variety in this universe. There is no variety. There is no multiplicity. There is no question of different plural entities like Jivas, Īśvara and all those things. There is nothing like this. So whoever thinks wrongly will no doubt get stuck in the cycle of samsaras, of birth and death, and again and birth and death. Iti bheda drishtihi apūdyate. So the view of bheda or difference between Jiva and Paramatma is shunned, is is put down by all these statements. It is refuted. Ekatva pratipadinyascha shrutayah sahasrasho vidyante. He says there are thousands of Vedic sentences, Shrutis, to establish the non-duality, that there is only one Atman, one entity. Yaduktam jnanadi lakshana bhedaditi atruchyate. Suppose you say there are so many people with less knowledge, more knowledge, middle level knowledge, and everybody is different, everybody's likes are different, everybody experiences pleasure, pain differently. If you say that, no. Because why did Śaṅkarācārya say no, I don't accept? Because we never accepted a Jivatma which is separate from Īśvara and the multiple millions and billions of Jivatmas. We never accept that. Buddhyadibhyo vyatirikta vilakshanaścha Īśvarād bhinna lakshana atmanaha na santi. Look, don't ever think that these Jivas exist. These Jivas, what you think as individual selves that are separate from intellect and other faculties like mind or senses, if you think that there are individual selves like that, and such selves having different characteristics from the Lord, Īśvara, no, they don't exist. Such Jivatmas don't even exist. Eka eva Īśvarascha Atma. There is only one Īśvara, that is Atma. Sarvabhutana nityamukto apyupakapyate. We accept one Lord who is self of all beings and eternally liberated. That's what it says. Bhāṣyascha, then translation. And this Śaṅkarācārya's words are very powerful here. Whoever wrote it, right? Buddhyādi samahara santana ahankara mamattvādi viparīta pratyaya prabhanda avicheda lakshano nitya shuddha buddha mukta swarupa vijnānātma Īśvara garbho nitya vijnāna avabhāsaha chitta chaitya bija biji swabhavaha kalpitaha anityaha avijnānaha Īśvara lakshana viparito abhyupagamyate. But you know what we accept? The external empirical existence. What is empirical? That we experience all the time, which is characterized by unbroken continuity of erroneous notions. We have this erroneous notion that this body is me. I am from this family. Oh, that person is from that family. This kind of ego, sense possession in relation to the aggregate. So we are attaching ourselves, thinking that we are the owners, and all these aggregates of intelligence like buddhi and our mind and intellect and body and everything, they are ours. It contains within itself the Lord, who is the nature of eternal pure consciousness, knowledge and freedom. But you know one thing, we accept all these experiences people have, and there is a Lord within it which is pure and conscious, and it is of Satya, Jnana, Ananta, Mukta. We accept this consciousness. So what is the difference? You think that there is an experiencer and other things. There are so many experiencers. It appears as a constant consciousness, but it is merely imagined. We think that, I am this person. I was, when I was younger, when I was 5 years old, I saw this place. I had been there. I had been to that city. Now I'm much older. I'm the same person who was 5 years old. All this are imaginary, having the nature of seed and its sprout. That is, there is a seed and that becomes a sprout. There are so many thoughts which has a, earlier causal thoughts and the effects of those thoughts in terms of thought and thinker. So these are all just thoughts and is impermanent knowledge. That is not the true knowledge. The true knowledge is only one Atman, contrary to the characteristics of this one Atman who is Īśvara, the Lord. Yasya avichede samsara vyavaharaha vichede cha moksha vyavaharaha. Oh yeah, we do agree with all these experiences you are having, I am having, and millions of people are having. But once you give up that, once this experience of the samsara is given up. This worldly existence is crossed over. Then there is no problem. But if you keep on rotating in these thoughts, and the thoughts will give rise to other things, and you are constantly in this cycle of birth and death, that cycle of birth and death will never go away. It is like night and day. Night comes after the day, day comes after the night. It continues. Vichhedecha moksha vyahara. Only when these experiences go away, they are severed, then we get moksha. Anyascha mrit pralepa vat pratyaksha pradvamso deva pitra manushya dilakshano bhuta vishesha samaharo na punash chaturtho anyo bhinna lakshana īśvara apnipagamyate. What is it? You know one thing, what do you call, there is no fourth kind, which is Jivatma, separate from buddhi, body, mind, intellect. Body, mind, intellect, three, right? And the other one is Jivatma, and that Jivatma is not acceptable. So a clay coating will go away, right? It's just, you see the perishable things. There are so many perishable things. And we see people manifesting as gods, ancestors, pitras, human beings and all. They are only appearances. There are no fourth jivatmas, separate jivatmas inside the devatas. There are no separate jivatmas inside the pitras. There are no separate jivatmas in the human beings. We appear different, but there is only one Atman. Buddhyadi kalpita atma vyatireka abhiprayena tu lakshanadi vedat vedadityashraya asiddho hetuhu īśvarād anyasya atmano asatvat. The argument about difference of characteristics is invalid, as it assumes what is to be proved when considered from the perspective of a self separate from the imagined self of intellect, etc. Yeah, we accept that there is a difference between the real self and the imagined selves. All the jivas are all imagined. Ishvarasyaiva viruddha lakshanatvam ayuktamiti chete sukhadukkādi yogascha na nimittatve sati loka viparjaya adhyaropanat savitrivat. Don't think that Ishvara himself can have dukkha or sukha, because if Ishvara is same as Jivatma, right? If Jiva is non-different from Ishvara, don't you think Ishvara will go through ups and downs, sorrow, happiness, elation, all kind of problems comes to Ishvara? They say, no, the pleasure, pain, everything will never come to that person. They are all superimposed. This is worldly ajnana, superimposition, adhyasa. He is merely like the sun. See, sun is always shining, right? You agree. But here one person says, no, I cannot see sun. Sun is not shining. Why? He is completely in a place where the clouds have covered the sun. On this side, somebody says, sun is shining bright. It's so hot. These ajnana, or individual peoples having ajnana, but sun is always shining, right? Sun doesn't stop shining. Due to other reasons, we are superimposing something onto sun. Sun doesn't go through. Similarly, Ishvara does not go through sukha, dukkha, everything like that. He is separate. Yatahi savita nitya prakasha rupatvat aloka abhivyakti anabhivyakti vyakti nimittatve sati lokadrishti viparyayena udayastamaya ahoratradi kartritva adhyaropa bhag bhavati. So the thing is, the sun does not set, or sun doesn't set, sun does not rise. This lokadrishti, because of the rotation of the earth and where we are on earth, we see, sun is rising, sun is setting, and all those things. So we superimpose different characteristics to the Īśvara. The Īśvara has no relation. Īśvara is untouched. He is pure consciousness, like the blazing sun. Evam Īśvare nitya vijnana shakti rupe loka jnana apoha sukha dukkha smrityadi nimittatve sati loka viparita buddhya ropitam viparita lakshanatvam sukha dukkadescha nasvataha. So you cannot superimpose any of this sorrows, pain, loss of memory, contradictory characteristics occur here. It's all our misconception. Truly, nothing happens to him. Atma Drishtyanurupa Adhyaropacha. This happens due to superimposition according to one's own vision. Yatha Ghanadi Viprakirne Ambare Yenaiva Savitr Prakasho na Drishyate. Sa Atma Drishtyanurupa Meva Adhyasyati Savitena Savita Idani Miha Na Prakashyati Satyeva Prakashye Anyatra Bhrantya. Just as in the sky scattered with clouds, one does not see the sun's light, superimposes according to their own vision that sun is not shining here now, even though the light exists, but he is mistakenly perceived elsewhere. Evamiha Bauddhade vritti ubhav udbhava abhibhava bhavakula bhrantya adhyaropitaha sukhadukkadi yogaha upapadyate. So all these experiences of pleasure pain are only due to adhyaropa or superimposition. Tat smaranacha, and this is also remembered in the scripture. Tasyaiva Ishvarasyaiva hi smaranam matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So this Īśvara is the central person through which others are getting the jnanam, apohanam, the forgetting, getting jnana. All these things have happened because of Īśvara. He is always shining, but it occurs to only the others. This is the Bhagavad Gita he quotes. Nadatye kasichit papam nachaiva sukritam vipuhu. This particular verse, Nadatye kasichit papam, is very controversial. And when we read 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we'll get into it in depth. He says he does not take sin of anyone. He will not punya or papa. He doesn't take from from anyone. Continuing, ato nityamuktaha ekasmin savita riva loka avidya adhyaropa ropitam Īśvare samsaritvam. So the thing is, even Īśvara being the creator, destroyer, and all, it's all adhyaropa. It's just superimposition on one, just like how we superimpose different things on sun. He is samsari. He does not have any bondage. We have to understand through the authority of scriptures. Yetena pratyekam jnanadi vedaha pratiktaham. So we are refuted that, okay, if each one has different jnana, this is also not correct. There is only one Atman, and all these are external, not Atmans, but upadhis like mind, body, intellect, which are upadhis. Sukshma Chaitanya Sarva Gatatva Vadya Vishesha Bheda Hetva Bhavat. There is no cause of difference or non-distinction for one all-pervading consciousness that exists everywhere. There is no need for separation. Vikriyavatve cha anityatvat. Whatever is subject to modification would be impermanent. So modification cannot exist for Brahman or Atman. So all the rest are subject to modification, they are impermanent. Mokshe cha vishesha anabhyupagamat abhyupagame cha anityatva prasangat. Even we say, I got bound, I was released, I have bandha and moksha. This distinction should not be accepted. Because if somebody gets moksha and the moksha is starting, that means the moksha will end for that person. So moksha is not continuous. So moksha should be accepted as always there. Like how sun is shining always. Moksha should be accepted as always there. We just don't know it. Once a guru says, Tattvamasi, you are Brahman, then I will know. And that's it. Then there is no world. There is no universe. There is no bondage. and I know that I am Brahman. That should be the truth. Avidya vadupalabhyatvacha vedasya tatshaya anupapatiriti siddhamekatvam. And because difference is perceived only in ignorance, it cannot exist when that ignorance is destroyed. The Bheda, Drishti, or the difference between, oh, this is a car, this is a light, this is me, that is that, all the differences exist in our ignorance. Once the ignorance goes away, that Bheda Drishti is not there. Non-duality is established. Atman is one. Thus, therefore, when there is cessation of ignorance, which is the seed of non-knowledge or avidya, due to its connection with ego in relation to the continuity of body, senses, mind, intellect, objects, and sensations, and which has anything other than eternal knowledge as its cause, through the knowledge of the true nature of the self, that cessation is called the liberation of self, and in the opposite case, it is bondage. Both these terms being relative to one's essential nature. So even bondage and release, bondage and moksha, or with respect to a person who thinks that he is bound. So what he is saying is, Jīva is something superimposed on the body, senses, mind, intellect. And there is no Jīva separate from the body, senses, mind, intellect. It's a superimposition. And Śaṅkarācārya agrees always what you call Sukshma Sharira is always there, right? The inner organ goes to the next body. So you assume that there is a Jīva. The Jīva is assumed due to illusion. And that is very clear. Why am I, this is the last, I don't want to go to the next section. I'm going to stop sharing here. I hope I did not bore you with these details. Was it boring?
This actually establishes Nirguna Brahman of Śaṅkarācārya as Īśvara himself.
Correct.
And usually we use the
Īśvara. He appears as Īśvara to the ignorant. The Nirguna Brahman is out there. But he appears as Īśvara to the other people, who is all-knowing, all-capable and everything, all-pervading, antaryami and everything like that.
But we started the lecture by saying what is Īśvara, the definition of Īśvara. And usually in Advaita, Īśvara is said to be Saguna Brahman, which is also relative reality. But here he establishes Nirguna Brahman itself as Īśvara.
Both. See, Īśvara is Saguna Brahman, and Saguna Brahman is no other than the Nirguna Brahman. He appears as Saguna with respect to other relative entities. This Gunatva, Sagunatva, the attributes is only to deal with this multiplicity which is finally unreal. Where does the Lord needs to be kind? Because there is somebody else who is messing up, who is doing mistakes. And if Lord is kind, he can help him out. So all gunas of Īśvara seem to be to deal with the universe, to deal with the multiple Jivatmas which are also imaginary. So Īśvara's, so all the guna, Sagunatva is only to deal with this multiplicity which is all false. And you take that Saguna multiplicity away, Īśvara is nobody else other than Brahman. Who can exist? Īśvara is assumed.
Yeah, but they don't use the term Īśvara per se for that, right?
See, Śaṅkarācārya conveniently uses Īśvara is same as Atma many times. Īśvara is Nitya. Īśvara is see, when he wants to talk about attributes, he uses the term Īśvara. When he wants to use to talk about the Atman within, he just says Atman or Brahman. So conveniently, he can change context. Ishvara is same as Atman. Jīva is same as Atman. See, that is why Tattvamasi is what? What is the meaning of Tattvamasi according to Advaita? Tat is Ishvara. That Ishvara, Tvam is Jīva. What does it mean that Ishvara is you? Well, how can the Ishvara be you? Because Ishvara is Sarvajna. You are in trouble. You are in the Punya Papa Rupa life. How can that Ishvara be same as you? No. Very simple. Ishvara minus Ishvaratva. Take the Ishvaratva, take the characteristics of Ishvara away from Ishvara. Then you are Jīva. Take the characteristics of Jīva away from you, like being subject to Punya Papa, being subject to Sukha Dukkha, being subject to birth and death. You take those characteristics away from you. What remains is Nirguna Brahman. So Ishvara minus Ishvaratva is Nirguna Brahman. And that is same as Jīva minus Jīvatva, which is Nirguna Brahman. So that's how Tattvamasi is explained according to Advaita.
The term Ishvara is used in most of the texts where Śaṅkarācārya gives the Bhāṣya.
Yeah, uses. Any other question?
It's a little funny to go through Madhvabhāṣya and Śaṅkarābhāṣya back to back, because Madhvacharya says if you take oneness, then you'll go to hell. Śaṅkarācārya says if you take multiplicity, then you go to hell.
You're right. You're right. And if an ordinary person who is listening to this, he will go crazy.
And it's interesting to learn both the Bhāṣyas regularly at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to think properly. It will settle in your mind how to understand these two different concepts. You will know. Then you'll ask questions. Why does Śaṅkarācārya say like this? So that's where the whole idea comes from. Then what do you think you will end up in? You will question, where is the theory of Maya? Where did Śaṅkarācārya get Maya theory? And where did he get the theory of Nirguna Brahman? So these are the two questions which will come to you. Once you solve that, then you will know the answer for all of them.
Yeah, if we have made up our mind already about which side we are on, then it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Any other question today? If you don't have any other question, now we'll stop. Was this class useful?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
repetition?
No, it was very useful.
See, for me, my view is here. I wanted to say, first of all, Ishvara Siddhi, or establishment of the idea of Ishvara, is there in different Shastras. But this is very, very clear. Śaṅkarācārya's original idea of Ishvara very clearly comes out here in just a matter of 19 sentences or 25 sentences. Okay, this is, even in Bhagavad Gita, it is not that clear. The summary doesn't come up so clear. Here, conceptually, Śaṅkarācārya's idea of Jīvas has multiple, but they have no value in it. There's nothing. They don't even exist. This idea is very clear in this part of Vākyabhāṣya of Śaṅkarācārya. That's all. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Sama Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Ayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. I also got your message, Ramanuja ji, that you liked it. Good. Hope it was good value. More than anything else, it was interesting to me. That's all.
Also, like both the Bhāṣya as well as the history part that you touched upon.
Yes. Thank you. Now, let me shut off here.